I'll start by saying don't play Comfey. Don't do it. I'm telling you, this is your future. This is what it looks like. Comfey is... Woo! I'm gonna start with that. Okay, onto the video. Hello everybody, Jake, your resident content cowboy here. Yeehaw! And I'm pleading with you not to play Comfey, but if you're deciding to play this Pokemon, here are 5 tips that will make you succeed more than you could have otherwise. I'm telling you, it's a tough road ahead of you, but if you do this, you will at least be the most competent Comfey player that your team could possibly have wreathed around their neck. And yes, I am giving away 2 Comfeys to people who watch this video. You will find instructions inside this video for how to achieve the entry into that. Don't listen to anyone in the comments who says you won and you're like,
I'm from Telegram. Message me on Snapchat.
Don't listen to any of that. I will announce the winners on Twitter and you will see a message from me with that big verified check mark. If you want to get better at Comfey, I think one of the #1 things is learning when you need to bounce off. So a lot of people just grab Comfey, they put themselves around a Machamp, just like the Hollowware, and they start to move around the map with that Pokemon, and they just tap their R2R buttons, and that is all that they do. This is not what you need to be doing if you are playing Comfey. That is part of it. You want to be on an ally, you want to be on someone relatively bulky sometimes, maybe someone pretty mobile who's a carry like a Cinderace, Dragapult, things like that also can kind of work pretty well, but you can't just sit on them and tap your buttons. You will do some healing with that, but ideally what you want to do is find really opportune moments to bounce off, use a basic attack, reattach, and heal. That combo's healing is so much bigger than it would be otherwise. So use down on your D-pad if you're using the Nintendo Switch. If you're using mobile, there's a button right there. Use down on your D-pad for the Nintendo Switch and your right stick to choose the direction you bounce off in. Bounce off towards tall grass as best as you can because that gives you 4 flowers right away. You bounce off, you always have a boosted attack. Bounce off, boosted attack, get your flowers, right back onto your enemy, attach, heal. Not only does that combo heal a lot more, but you also get a nice little chunk of damage with a boosted attack as you bounce off, and it's the actual flow that you need to be in for Comfey. You don't just sit on your ally and tap your 2 R buttons. That is not what you are doing. Trust me, you can get so much more value out of this Pokemon if you learn to bounce off of it. Now, there are times where I would highly recommend not bouncing off, and that would be when you're in the thick of a really intense fight and there really is no direction that you can go without getting caught. This Pokemon feels extremely squishy, so if you're caught for even a second, you're in a lot of trouble. Instead, you use this when the fight is sort of still both teams poking each other out. You use this in the laning phase. You use this when it's clearly not a 5-on-5. You find moments to pop off, get into the flowers, or get into the tall grass, excuse me, use your boosted attack right back onto an ally. If you do this, it can happen in just a second or so, and your healing is magnified to a huge degree. You also give your ally a shield when you pop back on. The biggest thing about Comfey that we don't get to see actually is the shielding numbers that this Pokemon does, and I think they're actually pretty considerable if you continue to use this pattern and make sure that you are reattaching yourself to your allies in a lot of situations where it makes sense. You should be doing this a lot, pulling off, using your boosted back onto an ally, pulling off, using your boosted back onto an ally. And you'll notice when your cooldown is coming up for your floral healing, when you bounce off, you can see that your cooldown's about to be back up, so then you can just hit your R button and you suck right back onto your ally. You don't want to do it when there's 3 seconds left on your cooldown and you have to wait for a minute to get back to an ally. You just notice your cooldown's coming up, pop off, right back on, much bigger heal, and they get a shield. I think the second thing you need to be really conscious of with this Pokemon is what moves are actually really beneficial. Right now, I would say Sweet Kiss feels like a bait. It's very specific. I know that you could do some cool things with it, especially if you're semi-coordinated, but Floral Healing I think is far and away the better move. It has a lower cooldown, meaning you're shielding your allies more and you're actually healing them. As a support, it feels like not taking a healing move can be pretty detrimental, and since Sweet Kiss doesn't really give you any type of, you know, safeguard like shield or something like that, I really think that Floral Healing is the way to go. Sweet Kiss just feels not even close to good good enough yet. As far as your other two moves, Magical Leaf and Grass Knot, I actually think Grass Knot is in a lot of ways the better move. It's just very clunky. It's actually difficult to use correctly because you're attached to an ally most of the time. And because you're attached to an ally, you actually can't set up the distance of that move the way you want. I know that sounds a little confusing, but let's say you're on an ally and they're kind of spinning around and moving up and down or something like that, and you want to throw your Grass Knot. There's a slight delay to it, and your ally could actually have pulled back or move forward or just set up a situation where it doesn't work as well. I do think if they change a little of that move quality of life wise, Grass Knot will be the much better choice because the damage is very legitimate and you could set up some really nice stuns with it if you can hit multiple enemies. All that to go back to the fact that Magical Leaf, I think, is for sure the play with this Pokemon. It's a sure hit. It hits everything around it. It just kind of fires off into an area, and when it hits an enemy with enough of its magical leaves, they get briefly stunned. This is really good for your Pokemon who are chasing enemies down. It just sets up a lot of opportunities for you to get KOs. I'm sure you're stunning people out of moves. It can be very frustrating for the enemy. Magical Leaf feels like the way to go, but don't forget that you're able to use this when you're not attached to an enemy. If you need to pop off and then head into a bush, use the move and jump back on. And there's also some resets that happen within there, so you can pop off of an ally, stop your Magical Leaf, and then get back on to use your Magical Leaf when it comes off cooldown. You don't need to let the entire thing run its course. Hi, this is the first step to entering the Comfey giveaway. I hid it in this video just like Pokemon hide in the tall grass. All you have to do is leave a comment on this video with a Pokemon that you think would be a very stealthy choice to be added to Pokemon Unite. Back to the tips. I think an important thing to understand with Comfey are what held items to run, and while I think this is still being figured out, there are a few that I think are very, very strong choices. Experience Share is one of the no-brainer items for this Pokemon. You are going to be attached to an ally a lot of the time. You are often going to be under-leveled. You only need to get to level 12 inside of this, game to get your plus move on your second move. So oftentimes I think EXP Share is a great setup for this Pokemon, and I have actually found that I've had a lot of success with special attack specs. You attach yourself to an ally, they are scoring, you are scoring, and it just feels like you're getting a lot of healing and a decent amount of extra damage when you are using special attack specs. It's possible once all the numbers come out that you'll find, it's not really that worth it, but I've actually found my best matches with this Pokemon are when I have a fully stacked up set of special attack specs. As far as your third item's concerned, I've been toying around with a bunch of different things. I've tried Muscle Band, which seems okay when you're kind of popping on and off quite a bit. I've also tried Shell Bell to give you a little extra special attack and help with your cooldowns. I've tried Energy Amplifier, which didn't really seem like it was the play. So I think it's somewhere in the realm of Buddy Barrier, Shell Bell, Wise Glasses, maybe even Choice Specs, so you get extra damage with your Magical Leaf for your third item. But I really think EXP Share is kind of a must on this Pokemon. My next tip is about battle items. I think there are actually a few good options for battle items. So first of all, Goal Getter doesn't work the way you would like it to, where you attach yourself to an ally and you can help them score. From what I understand, it just doesn't work like that. You often don't need full heal at all because you're attached to someone the entire time. Eject button I think is actually pretty amazing because if an ally goes down, you can eject button back towards your team and get close enough to attach to another ally. It actually isn't really used in other situations, but I've found that it's really incredible for getting to another ally to make sure that you can heal them and attach to them and give them a shield. I think it's going to be a little slept on, honestly. There are other options. Some people were looking at running Potion, but it doesn't seem super necessary. X Attack I think is possible when you're attached to an ally, but I doubt it's going to be the play. One big item is Slow Smoke. If you see that you have an ally that is going to be up in the mix with enemies, Garchomp, Serena, Machamp, Aegislash, things like that, and you attach yourself to that ally, you're essentially giving them another battle item. So a lot of times you don't need to use your battle item, but it's on a decent cooldown. You can attach yourself to that ally, use it while you're attached to them when they're up in the mix and fighting. It actually feels like one of the most solid choices for this Pokemon. I would highly recommend Slow Smoke or Eject Button. Finally, I want to talk about its Unite move, Flowery Fields Forever. This move actually feels like It's pretty solid if it's used somewhat early in a fight when you see that things are kind of popping off a little bit, especially if you have a buddy barrier. You could set up a situation where the ally you're on most likely is going to get this barrier, so they get an extra shield on top of them, and then your healing is actually increased. Make sure you use this opportunity to get those extra flowers from the flowery fields forever. Hop onto an ally and heal them. The healing is increased considerably. I feel like I've seen it heal almost 2,000 in one singular heal, and also it's a little area that your allies can't be seen in because it looks like tall grass. I'm not exactly sure how it camouflages wild Pokemon and objectives. I'm still trying to figure that out. It looks like it actually means that they can't fully see what's going on inside there, which could be really amazing. But I think the big thing for this is use this in a situation where your allies need to fight and would like an area where they can get healed. And I think you can actually be a little liberal with this. Obviously you want to save one for your final fight, but it feels like the cooldown on this is pretty quick. So I would try to support your team earlier with this rather than later inside of a fight. Hey, this is the second way that you can win a Comfey in this video. Leave a comment below with a buff to this Pokemon that you think would be good, but at the same time wouldn't break the game or make this Pokemon insane. I actually think this Pokemon is quite undertuned right now and will definitely be receiving some very nice buffs very soon. Well, I hope that helped. I hope you enjoy Comfey if you win it or you're playing it. I really understand that people want to play this game with the Pokemon they like and they want to do well. So if you're going to pick Comfey, which again, I believe is quite underpowered right now, the best thing you could do is play the absolute best Comfey you can for your team so they don't leave it saying, oh no, not Comfey. No, no, no. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for listening. I will see you all very soon in those flowery fields forever.